Hello, Mr. Ravi Karim.
Hi, Mr. Gopal Krishna. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. You want to try your PPT?
I just will try to present this. Let me see if it's coming up. Is this visible?
Yeah. That is perfectly visible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, then I think we're good to go, right?
Yeah, good to go.
Am I audible? Well?
Yes, you are very much audible.
Okay. Okay, then I'll stop sharing.
Yeah. We'll start the session sharp at 4. Hello, Mr. Nitin. Mr. Nitin Dev, sir. Hello, Mr. Nitin.
Hello everyone, it's great to see you all here on time. I'm Darshana Bhadra, Assistant Editor of OEM Update, and I welcome you to our interactive session on NextGen manufacturing in pharma. Delegates, please ensure that you are on mute so that the session runs smoothly. We have a chat feature available for you to communicate with the panelists. If you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to share them in Q&A box. To discuss the solutions and technologies, I invite our speakers, Mr. Ravi Kiran, Director of Sales for Data Science, Manufacturing and Logistics, India at Dassault Systems, Mr. Guru Prasad, Assistant Vice President, CSSR and Electronics, Robotics and Discrete at ABB India, and Mr. Nitin Davesar, Chief Manager of Sales at Edwards. Before we start, let me explain the sequence of events. We will begin with individual submissions, wherein our guest speakers will present their talk on their respective topics, followed by panel discussion. Get ready for an interactive and engaging session on next-gen manufacturing and pharma. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Guru Prasad. Mr. Prasad is the Assistant Vice President and Head of Industry at Robotics and Discrete at ABB India and bears professional experience of around 2 decades. Mr. Prasad heads the industry divisions, overseeing a wide-ranging ecosystem of organizations operating within general engineering, FMCG, F&B, pharma, logistics, restaurants, retail, healthcare, and electronics manufacturing sectors. With a background in mechanical engineering, Mr. Prasad has held various key leadership roles with ABB India's robotics business over a decade. Today, we are honored to have Mr. Prasad as our guest speaker, and he will talk about value chain automation for pharma manufacturing, pick, pack, and palletizing. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Prasad.
Thank you. Thank you, Darshana. I hope I'm audible and I hope I'm visible also.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Okay, I'll share my screen to run through what I'm about to speak today. So thank you, first of all, OEM Update and the colleagues from OEM Update who are present here, Darshana and Mr. Recollecting his name. Okay. Thanks to OEM Update for giving us this opportunity. So at ABB, what we would like to present here is broadly on 3 topics. I have about 10 minutes of time. So first, I'll speak about the mega trends which are driving the industry. Here, I'll speak broadly about F&B, FMCG, and pharma, even though this event is specifically to pharma. But these 3 industries share a lot of things in common, whether it is in terms of high volume, low mix kind of a production or high mix, low volume kind of a production. Both these cases are present here. And the hygiene requirements, even though it's very high in pharma, some parts of F&B and FMCG follow very high volume, even clean room kind of production, especially the F&B and FMCG companies who are supplying to customers or clients who are in baby care or baby food, etc. And then we'll speak a little bit about what do we mean by value steps, how we are more than a robot manufacturer. And then with the help of a few use cases, I will try and go through about the topic on which I'm speaking today, which is value chain automation for pick, pack, and palletizing. Before going ahead, a few disclaimers. Since I'm from a company who prima facie is into robotics and manufacturing automation, please allow me to use a few videos to explain whatever I speak rather than the slides. I hope it will be interesting for you. And second, some of these videos may not be professionally shot, so it will have some sound issues or maybe not really great sound background, so excuse me for that. Speaking about the megatrends, any given industry is going through these megatrends quite naturally because we are quite an evolving population in the global village. So each of us would like to have something of their own as customized. So this is leading to hyper customization, or some people call it as batch size 1. And there is a steady and clear increase of e-commerce and direct to consumer. This is applicable for pharma also. The likes of Tata MNMG are really setting the trend in this direction. And of course, labor shortage, sustainability, health and hygiene cannot be overemphasized. These are basic trends which are driving any given industry, and pharma, food, and FMCG is no exception on this. And when we add the key trends or key mega trends with the customer needs, which are simply put into these four terminologies of productivity, cost savings, flexibility, and simplicity. So we believe we as ABB, especially the robotics side, have a solution for all these mega trends and customer needs put together. How? We will look at it in the next few slides. And before going ahead with this, the key topic, which is pick, pack, and palletize, the sectors or the segments which we cater to from the consumer industry side. On the manufacturing side of the industry, we look at automating our customers' secondary, primary, and tertiary packaging activities in food and beverage, consumer packaged goods, and pharmaceuticals. And on the service robotics side, which is basically the customer-facing side or the consumer-facing side, I would say, we automate various applications in restaurants, cloud kitchen being a very good example, retail last-minute delivery or last-mile delivery, or delivery kiosks, for example. Then healthcare. Nowadays, the simple activity of conducting a blood test is also being automated in some of the developed part of the world. Soon it is going to come into developing countries like us. And what connects these two is logistics, whether it is logistics related to e-commerce or third-party logistics or even post and parcel. There are lots of scope for automation, lots of applications to be automated. I think the rest of the panel speakers today will also speak about the importance of logistics. And when we speak about factory, as I was mentioning earlier, we automate everything from handling the naked products to putting these products into flow-wrapped pouches, and then putting these pouches into carton boxes, and putting these carton boxes into big shippers, and palleting these shippers onto pallets, and taking these pallets and giving it to an ASRS, retrieving these pallets, and then once again redistributing the contents of the pallet in terms of truck loading, or when it comes to the consumer side, even the logistics part in terms of distribution centers, fulfillment centers, lots of things we automate in the complete value chain of consumer products, which includes the pharmaceuticals also. And how we do it is summarized in the form of a slide here. So basically, we are a robot manufacturer, but we are more than a robot manufacturer also. What do we mean by that is robots and its peripherals, whether it is robots or its associated hardware in terms of AMRs or AGVs, and associated software is what we manufacture from our factories. And when it comes to countries like India or any other large ecosystem which we have, we add more value to the products which we manufacture, and we manufacture something called as application cells or modular cells. In pharma, for example, a carton packing solution can be manufactured as a modular cell, and then we add a little more value and we offer turnkey solutions. So this pyramid from bottom to top is basically about value addition, and the parallelograms on the left and right is basically about how we manage the full value added solutions with our customers. On the right side, we have developed the digital ecosystem, whether it is the simulation softwares or software required for gathering data and making sense of data, or on the left hand side, whether it is about the predictive maintenance or proactive maintenance, or even complete delivery platforms in terms of virtual commissioning, etc., is what we do onto the ABB Care side. And of course, we are not only a manufacturer of robots in terms of products. With the help of B&R, which is a group company, we provide the complete automation ecosystem when it comes to the PLCs or industrial PCs or SCADA, etc., etc. Now, with the help of a few use cases, I'll just drive through the topic of the day. This is a specific use case which can be applicable for food, FMCG, or pharma. In typical use cases like this, you have multiple conveyors. In one conveyor, either a naked product is coming or a flow-wrapped product is coming. And these could be very odd shapes, like a pizza dough, for example, or a chocolate cake, or anything you can imagine which has a very odd shape. And this could be a hard profile, like a typical Cadbury, or a very soft profile, like a cheesecake, for example. And this involves tracking multiple conveyors. And why tracking multiple conveyors? Because all these conveyors are running at different speeds, and from picking up from one conveyor and placing it onto another conveyor with the help of an industrial robot, and doing this at very high speeds. What do we mean by very high speeds? It is written on the business case here, moving products in 100 picks per minute to up to 400 picks per minute. And other parts of the business cases for which we do this kinds of automation in food, FMCG, and pharma is improving the hygiene index, manless operation, improving the traceability with the help of vision system and with the help of various other scanning solutions like barcode scanners and QR code scanners. We improve the traceability of the product, and including possible detection of quality defects. I would say even to the extent of presence of a very small foreign particle like human hair, we are able to do that. And of course, we're doing all this. If you remember the megatrend slide, we provide an experience of customized packaging or batch one or batch size one kind of a production. In this particular sorry about the sound, as I mentioned in the disclaimer earlier. In this particular video, what we are trying to do is here, as I was mentioning in the slide before, we are tracking two conveyors, and we have products coming from one conveyor. In this case, is a sanitizer bottle. We are picking it up. How we are picking it up is we have a vision system here, which is providing me a pick point, and the same vision system can be used for analyzing quality defects, and the same vision system can be used for even checking of foreign particles. And using this vision system and tracking this conveyor, I'm able to pick up this product in a horizontal orientation and place it into a vertical orientation into something called as a puck. The bottle in the puck is stabilized later, half of the conveyor, and then it is going into the filling area. So this is a typical example of picking and packing automation. Another typical example of an automation which covers the entire spectrum of picking, packing, and palletizing is shown in this video. Here, of course, we have to integrate with various customer equipment, customers' conveyors, customers' equipment related to primary packaging and secondary packaging. Filling the products into monocartons and then the monocartons into shippers. And of course, this being a low speed line, we are utilizing an industrial robot to erect the carton also, rather than using a dedicated carton erecting machine. And of course, the same robot which is erecting the carton is being utilized for palletizing the fully filled pallets also. And of course, we have the AMRs to ship out the fully filled pallets within the factory shop floor. This is as far as the industry side is concerned, or on the manufacturing shop floor side is concerned. Then if you look at the trends of the future, so if we speak about the trends of the future, the robots are entering into various kinds of testing applications, whether it is automating sample testing in a typical diagnostic laboratory, or it is automating drug testing, which requires hours and hours of permutations and combinations in a company which is involved into drug discovery, or testing of highly contagious samples. For example, in the right-hand side, you are seeing a couple of robots doing sample testing of COVID throat swabs. Yeah. Then moving into the next level of automation when it comes to drug delivery or delivering prescription drugs with zero mistake is a solution where you have robots surrounded with racks, and all these robots are communicating with custom-built software which understands the prescription from a doctor and then delivers it according to the prescription into the customer side of the pharmacy. So with this, I hope I could give you some clarity onto the automation trends in pharma in terms of pick, pack, palletizing, and some futuristic trends. So I hand over the session back to the moderator, Darshana. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad, for sharing the value chain automation for pharma manufacturing. Delegates, I hope you're enjoying the session. If you have any questions for panelists, please put them in Q&A box. We will return to you to answer your questions by the end of the session. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Ravi Kiran, who leads the Sol Systems, Manufacturing and Logistics business in India. His role is to define the business strategy to expand the Sol Systems solutions footprint in India's rapidly growing manufacturing and logistics sector. Mr. Ravi Kiran started his career with the Sol Systems in 2004, donned various roles within his R&D organization for business development, and assumed countrywide responsibility to grow the market share in its core industry verticals. For the last 4 years, he has been responsible for the growth potential of India's manufacturing and logistics sectors. Today, Mr. Ravi Kiran will talk on enabling next-gen pharma manufacturing through virtual twins. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ravi Kiran.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
And is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. Very good afternoon. You have to pardon me. I'm running a sore throat, so my voice will not be as clear. And if it is the case, please do excuse me for that. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, Mr. Gopal Krishnan and Ms. Darshana. Pharma industry is something that is, I think, probably called as almost close to, if not second, almost close to IT industry in India, right? So pharma is breaking so many barriers, it is taking the country far ahead. But there is also a concern. India is known to be a generics market, which is all about manufacturing generics at faster pace. It is an opportunity and a challenge because Indian context is all about generics. The drug development is not at a pace that we would like to have, is what I keep hearing. Okay, but at the same time, producing generics at a pace so that we become the supplier to the world. That's what we have done when COVID has happened, right? We were supplying one particular component to global needs, and most of the countries were sourcing it from India. Right? So there is a role to play for India from the pharma manufacturing standpoint. But the question that haunts all of us is: are we ready for that kind of pace and agility with which we have to enable this next generation manufacturing? That is what my presentation today. I'm sorry, some issue with my slides. Just a second. Something went wrong. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Can you confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, now we are good. So today's agenda, I'll spend next 10 minutes just to quickly introduce who are we. Many of you may be knowing us as an aviation company, but just to correct those perceptions that we are also working very closely with life sciences industry, I thought I'll introduce quickly on who are we, and then pharma industry trends and challenges, I have seen the earlier speaker covering about the trends and challenges. And as you rightly said, probably some of the things that I'll be touching upon again, and some of the trends that he was mentioning about. And what are the areas that the country should look at? More specifically, the pharma manufacturer should look at as far as digital transformation is concerned. Currently, we have we are a very large organization, about 25,000 people, out of which 5,000 people are working only on pharma industry, developing various software products to design the drugs, to validate the clinical trials. For example, 80% of the vaccines that were developed during for COVID, be it Moderna, be it Pfizer, so many drugs that were developed, the entire clinical trials were done on using our platform called Medidata, right? And today, after COVID, earlier we used to have engineering, manufacturing, and infrastructure as our core industries, core sectors. Life sciences has grown significantly for us, has become one of the largest industries for Dassault Systems. And we work with almost 10,000 customers in this industry, including top 10 contract research organizations. And we have active partnerships with all the regulators across the globe, right? So the idea of this slide is to tell you that Dassault name generally is resonated with aviation. Just wanted to clarify that we do have a very strong technological base to cater to the industry needs as far as pharma manufacturing is concerned. The trends and challenges. I think this is well covered by my earlier speaker. Personalized health, right? What does it mean? Today, the needs of patients, the sizes of the patients with similar categories of or similar profiles are becoming smaller and smaller. So there is a need for larger product mix with smaller batches, which result in exponential order increase. And also it is putting a lot of pressure on costs and profits, right? Because whenever you are creating a higher product mix in smaller batches, you have to ensure that your inventories are in check, your throughput is optimized. If you don't ensure the optimization of your throughput and inventory, it'll put a lot of pressure on your costs and profits. Okay. And the total quality is another aspect, because you're doing so much high product mix with smaller batches. It is becoming physically impossible to track the quality and the deadlines. So it becomes even more pertinent that there is focus on the traceability, especially on the quality control labs. And these are all just the trends of the industry. And then you put a spin off market volatility. When I say volatility, of course, the events don't give a signal and come. COVID did not tell us that it's coming, right? Or neither the Ebola or so many instances of pandemics never give us any heads up or notice. So what does it mean? That the volatility and the speed with which this industry has to react is much, much larger than any other industry, because here it is a need and not a want. So considering these challenges, when you break down, what I feel personally is that it boils down to how well can you plan and schedule. There are so many areas that we can fix. But from the from the manufacturing standpoint, the critical aspect is planning and scheduling. Why? Planning is all about proactively preparing yourself, your plant, your factory to produce as per the demand. And scheduling is the capability to reactively, react with agility. Sometimes, no matter how well you plan, things may not go as planned. And that should not put someone in the back burner. They should be able to stand up and react to the situation, like the way COVID pandemic has taught us. So it's also very important that we have agile reactive strategies as far as scheduling is concerned. So both planning and scheduling are like two eyes of the factory. Proactively plan and reactively schedule, right? So these are the four areas typically the pharma companies look at. And what are the constraints in these areas? I'll not spend much time on all the four blocks because we have limited time here. But if you see upstream production and downstream production, you can see that one is the bottlenecks depend on product mix. There are so many bottlenecks that are created because of the products mix. And the recipe management and the bill of material management becomes complex when you have a higher product mix. And whenever there is a campaign that is launched to meet the demands or to increase the demand of a certain particular product by virtue of your sales executives and all of that, then you have to constantly change your setup optimization. That means you're changing your factory configurations to meet the varying demands. You're producing one particular generic drug today, and tomorrow you have to produce some other drug quickly. You have to probably change your factory configuration to accelerate your production and meet up the demand, right? So these are all the challenges that planning and scheduling demands, right? So I'm going down from overall pharma manufacturing trends and challenges, and what are the areas that we should address if we want to become next gen in pharma manufacturing. So with that, setting the context with trends and challenges, I'll talk about digital transformation. We'll just start with where are we as far as digital transformation is concerned, particularly in the domain of manufacturing, and what we should do in the next few years to get there faster. Most of the factories today, if you see the evolution of digital transformation, there no doubt that they have adopted the lean manufacturing methods. There are so many solutions. So 80% of factories are in this area of the end of 20th century, right? They are using some ERP tools or so many enterprise resource planning tools. But even today, the key aspects of planning and scheduling are done using Excels. And that is the biggest challenge. If someone wants to get to the smart factory, the most important thing in the smart factory is no doubt automation, no doubt connected machines, no doubt flow of information. But the real essence, I feel, lies in intelligent planning and scheduling. Okay. And where does the intelligence come from? It also not just comes from the demand and how do you cope up to the demand and how do you plan your capacity, but also identify the patterns. You bring in your AI machine learning techniques to predict what could be or forecast the demand in a demand sensing manner, not a typical traditional statistical forecasting methods, and also predict your probable failure modes of your factory, when my machine may break down, and what do I do if at all it breaks down. If you can predict earlier, then you can increase your capacity utilization. So how can you use this intelligent planning scheduling by virtue of leveraging the data science makes the today's transformation. That is what the digital transformation that we all seek as far as manufacturing in India is concerned, not just specifically for pharma, but it is true for pharma industry as well. And when it comes to, again, while the overall digital transformation, we are talking about factory level, when you come to planning and scheduling, it is still manual, it is still static, it is non-collaborative. There is very few factories or pharma manufacturing companies that do a collaborative planning. When I say collaborative, sales, marketing, and factory team, production team, shop floor team, C-level team, everybody coming together and planning their entire next 2 months of deliverables and the orders and all of that. So it happens like in a sequential manner, in a non-collaborative manner. So this is one of the biggest challenge, and this is a challenge. Some may not agree with me, but if you go to any factory shop floor and you see this, Excels are extensively used to achieve this. They are very good tools. I mean, it's a fantastic tool, no doubt, but it's still manual and static and non-collaborative. Just to emphasize what do I mean? If you want to carry out 10 tests and those 10 tests have to be carried out by one analyst, can you guess what are the number of combinations? You don't have to guess. I put it on the screen. It is almost 3 million combinations. So why do I say that it is not possible manually is because those are the number of combinations you have if you want to carry out 10 tests with one analyst, right? This is a factorial that we're looking at. So it becomes complex, and this is in a very simplistic scenario we are taking. So nobody can find a planning optimum using empirical methods that are provided by these standalone tools. And that is what the problem we have to solve. Okay. That's why I say that the planning is the heartbeat of smart factory, because planning gives you a lot of intelligence, and the intelligence can be used in your predictive machine learning AI techniques, so that your factory is improving in a closed loop manner with every passing day, because there is so much data that is getting created. So the most important aspect for a pharma manufacturing or any other manufacturing, but specifically for pharma manufacturing, because the volatility and the product mix is high, is about digitalizing the planning and scheduling. And what do I mean by digitalizing planning and scheduling? Is not just about using a tool, but also using a tool that is collaborative, that is agile, that is precise, that is KPI driven. Right? It is not just it's not just a tool where you have to punch in the data and it just throws some numbers. It is KPI driven. I'll take one problem statement here. This is a typical pharmaceutical process where you have so many components at the R&D stage, and then you have a funnel mechanism before you arrive at one compound. So this all happens in the R&D stage. And then the most important aspect is, based on the identified compound, after getting the approvals, you get into manufacturing, where your typical objective is production optimization. But it is not done in isolation, because that's a very unique fact of pharma industry. And then you have quality control labs, which are looking at the quality control of the produced goods. All these things are interlinked. R&D, manufacturing, quality control are interlinked, so that there is a feed loop mechanism from quality control to R&D, saying that this particular component, probably this is a problem that we are facing. Then they re-engineer it, and then they probably change the recipe, and they send it back to manufacturing, and then it gets tested. So to be able to orchestrate this, these three disciplines in a more integrated fashion, right? It is very important that you don't just have the tools which are standalone, excellent, but also highly collaborative. Okay. So now boiling down from there, having said the statement, now if you look at the manufacturing part alone, you have to, the scheduling, as I said, scheduling is a critical, the planning and scheduling is the key aspect. The planning horizon is broken down into two horizons. One horizon is about 18 months horizon. So typically you plan it once a week, once in a month. And what is the objective here when you plan this? You want to minimize your inventories and increase your service rates. That means you want to ensure that you're able to fulfill your orders on time. It's called OTIF, on time in full. When it comes to scheduling, which is much closer to your day-to-day activity, the horizon could be up to 3 months. And this is what you do daily. And the objective here is increase your productivity, capacity utilization, shortening the lead times. So what am I trying to say is, the horizons are different and the objectives are different. You cannot have one-stop shop solution for both the needs. Okay, you should have one solution that can scale up to a planning puzzle and also scale up to scheduling puzzle. And what are the constraints you have to manage in these two areas? In the planning horizon, it's all about product mix, flexible manufacturing, alternative recipes, setup times, campaigns, quality control. Whereas in the scheduling space, as I said, it could be disruption, it could be pandemic. Suddenly you want to reschedule your entire manufacturing. Suddenly the priorities of the factory can change because there are more pressure on cost. So they want to stop one particular product and launch another product. Okay, and they want to quickly introduce, simulate the new product introduction. And the impacts of maintenance. Whenever the plant is in maintenance, it has a huge impact on the throughput. So how do you respond to those maintenance downtimes? So all of these are different constraints to manage in these different planning horizons. So managing these on an Excel, managing this on an ERP tool, which is a transactional tool, but not a collaborative optimization tool, can be a challenge, right? That's why we are, for example, there are tools which are used. The use case example which I've given, it is coming from Sanofi. So you have to manage this in a collaborative fashion, from your demand management to managing your capacity and suppliers, to getting to your detailed scheduling. And then to be able to do all of this in a what if scenario. When I say what if scenario, what if my demand suddenly spikes up? You should be able to simulate that and see how am I handling my capacity in that case. What if my demand goes down? Can I create more products and keep it stocked in my inventory? What is the impact of it in my cash outflows and cash inflows? So all these things has to be done in more integrated fashion rather than in a disintegrated, siloed fashion. That's how the factories can improve their efficiency. Right? So by doing so, there are so many KPIs. It's not just about putting a tool or XYZ tool, even if it is collaborative. Every technology, every tool, if it has to really enable the next gen manufacturing, it should be KPI based. Is it helping you with on-time delivery? Is it reducing your lead times and waiting times? Is it improving your throughput? That means your capacity utilization, your occupancy rate is increasing. Whatever you're producing, is it to the conformance levels? That means, are you getting the required quality conformance or not? And while doing so, are you able to optimize your costs? Because running a factory is cost intensive. If you're not able to put your costs in check, then that means you're running into trouble, because cost is what pulls your bottom line to a lesser number. So any tool that brings you should be KPI driven. Only that way you know that you are heading towards a smart factory. So in summary, I mean, that's what brings me to the end of my presentation. There are some benefits where we have worked with clients and they have shared. There are so many YouTube videos as well. The KPI driven planning and optimization is the most important aspect to be able to enable the next gen pharma manufacturing. Automation is important, connected machines is important, no doubt they have their role to play. But the real intelligence lies in to be able to create a planning and optimization technology that creates a lot of intelligence from the data that you're doing and gives you AI ML models to further improve on your KPIs. Okay, and some of the KPIs that we have worked with some of the clients, I could not name those clients here, but I named one of the clients earlier. So these are the KPIs that they're looking at, right? 58% lead time reduction and 80% manual documentation work reduction, all of that. So 2 points with which I would like to summarize. If you want to move towards next gen pharma manufacturing, if we as country wants to move to next gen pharma manufacturing, it's important that we focus on our planning and scheduling function, because that's what is the heart of a factory. And that we should not do it in a siloed manner. We should do it in a collaborative manner. And we should do with a KPI driven manner, not just for the sake of doing it. Whenever I do, it should result in some KPI improvement. And how do we do that? Only if we have what if scenarios. What if my demand reduces? What if my capacity increases? So the technology should give you that capability to play with these various alternatives. And all of this while giving the basic abilities to handle the constraints, handle the variables, and all of that. So optimization, intelligence, and data analytics is the way forward for us to enable our next gen pharma manufacturing. That ends my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ravi Kiran, for sharing your insights on enabling next-gen pharma manufacturing to virtual twins. I'm pleased to welcome Mr. Nitin Davesar. Mr. Davesar is the Chief Manager of Sales at Edwork. He is a supply chain professional with around a decade of diverse work experience across multiple organizations. At Edwork, he holds the responsibility for designing and delivering warehousing solutions for key accounts. Prior to joining Edwork, Nitin served as a key member of the leadership team at Beardo, where he held the supply chain vertical and managed end-to-end operations from procurement to customer delivery. Coming from metallurgical engineering background, he also holds a PGDM degree in supply chain management. Today, Mr. Nitin will talk on automation and pharma, enhancing tracking and traceability for better compliance. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Davesar.
Yeah. Thanks, Darshan, and thank you to the OEM update team for having us on the panel. I think, and I think I had a very wonderful time listening to the different, aspects of the pharma industry, which were shared by all the key members, all the speakers before us. But I wanted to take a little bit separate route on this. I wanted to talk a little more broad based on the different type of technologies which are coming in the pharma industry. But before that, I'll just give a quick introduction of Adverb and what we do, and then we'll move on to in more detail about the pharma. Can I get a quick check if my screen is visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, great, thanks. So, what is Adverb? Adverb is an robotics company and a software company. We are primarily in the field of intralogistics automation. That means that what we do is that we are manufacturing products which move and manipulate goods in a particular warehouse or in a factory, and so on and so forth. So there are different types of robots, ASRS systems. There are systems which help in picking, packing, etc. And then there is a software suite which goes along with it. And then we help our clients in working in increasing operational efficiency, space optimization, picking accuracy, and so on and so forth. Right. And then we work with clients from multiple different fields, right? So I think one aspect which I would want to bring to the table is how maybe how similar pharma industry is to other industries which are there, and then what are the some unique quirks of this industry, because I think all of us can agree that it is quite a unique industry. uh, but yeah, so we've worked with clients all over the world in different industries, and including pharma, medical industry as well, right? So I wanted to bring some of that insight to us, to the session today. So let us talk about the pharma industry. So I think in India there is this narrative that we need to increase our manufacturing capability. We want to export it to the world, but very few people actually realize that pharma industries in India is actually the bellwether of all manufacturing industries, right? So we have been manufacturing medicines, especially I think like Ravi Kiran mentioned, generic medicines for a long time, and in fact I think we are one of the biggest manufacturers and exporters of generic drugs across the globe. So, despite saying that we don't manufacture enough, we are actually one of the leading manufacturers in the pharma industry in the world, and some of it has been due to the regulations which have been eased in India, and it also relates to the population of the country, that there is such a high demand for people to consume this much medicines and pharma industry products in general in India. So I think that is the type of background where we are coming from. And in terms of the future of the industry, the way we see it, actually the different challenges and the way forward for the industry is actually very similar to, let's say, an FMCG industry or any other industry, a white good industry, and so on and so forth. So there is, yes, obviously, like in every industry, there is a big uh, uh,
Hello.
Looks like there is a connectivity issue for him.
Hello.
He is frozen now. So
Correct.
Darshana, by the time he comes back, we can start the panel discussion and
Okay.
we can give an opportunity for him to talk again.
Okay. Um, I would like to invite our guest speakers to start with the panel discussion. I would also like to invite Mr. Gopal Anand to moderate the session.
Thank you, Darshana. Hello, I would invite all our guest speakers to start with panel discussion on next-gen manufacturing in pharma. Starting with Mr. Ravi Kiran. Hello, Mr. Ravi Kiran. Hello.
So I think he's not able to hear you.
Hello. Coming to Mr. Guru Prasad.
Yeah, I am able to hear you. Please
Yeah.
go ahead.
In what ways or how NextGen pharma manufacturing is leveraging advanced technologies to transform the pharmaceutical industry?
Okay. I would say that in case of pharma, with respect to the Indian context, when it comes to advanced technologies specific to robotics and automation, I can speak of. So specific to robotics and automation, the pharma industry is doing the right thing by asking the OEMs who are supplying the hardcore equipments of any pharma manufacturing setup, for example, the OEMs who are into tablet manufacturing, to also integrate automation through their
And
own
technologies.
automation team.
Hello.
Nitin is back.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Nitin, actually we lost your voice and we couldn't hear whatever you said, Mr. Nitin. Can you speak up?
Hello.
Can you hear us, Mr. Nitin? Hello. Yeah, it looks like still he have the connectivity issue. Mr. Guru Prasad, please continue with your conversation. We will give Mr. Nitin another chance in the same session.
Okay. So as I was mentioning earlier, the pharma companies are doing a smart thing by engaging the OEMs who are delivering the standard equipment which they use to integrate automation along with the equipment. Without naming a client or without naming the OEM, I would quote an example where an OEM were asked to improve the efficiency or productivity of their machine from around 800 tablets per minute to 1600 tablets per minute by introducing automation. So we collaborated with this OEM in providing a solution which was in the similar terms both customized and standardized, I would say. Customized in the sense the way in which the tablets were flow wrapped, in the way in which the tablets were collated and put into the monocartons were customized. But the equipment as such which was being used, the hardcore robot, was standardized. So the Indian pharma industry in that way is adopting a lot of innovative technology. But India will always be known in the future also for a lot of jugaad. So Indian pharma industry is smart enough to not invest too heavily, do a little bit of jugaad here and there, and make automation work in the most cost-effective way possible. So it's high tech at very low cost of investment, I would say.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for updating us about advanced technologies. Mr. Nitin, can you hear us? Mr. Ravi? I think Mr. Ravi has got some urgent meeting.
Darshana, can you please call up Mr. Nitin and Mr. Ravi? So
Mr. Ravi Kiran has left for another meeting.
okay.
Okay, no issues. Mr. Nitin? Okay, meanwhile, Darshana, you can continue calling Mr. Nitin. Mr. Guru Prasad, coming to you again. How does increasing robot uses in manufacturing enhance productivity for logistics and manufacturing operations?
Yeah, in a very broad sense, I'll come from the perspective of how automated we are as a country. So when it comes to robotics, we measure the automation in terms of a parameter called as robot density. Basically, robot density is, in layman terms, it's number of industrial robots per 10,000 associates working in the manufacturing industry. It doesn't involve the labor force which comes into the casual area. It comes into the labor force. It counts labor force which is into the formal area, rather than the casual area. So a few years back, we were this parameter. We were in low single digits. I would say we are still in single digits only, but high single digits. And in fact, in this parameter, we are lower than a country, for example, like Iran. Of course, we cannot compare the population of India and Iran, but from the specific terms of how automated any country is becoming, this is a decent number to estimate. So from that perspective of robot density, going from a low single digit to I would say a higher single digit, maybe about 7 or 8 currently. Why people are going for robotics is because it improves the productivity without compromising on the safety aspects, without compromising on the hygiene aspects, and without compromising on the aspect related to traceability, which is very important for pharma. So more or less, combining the robot density part and combining the automation and productivity part, I would say it's a unique solution which has been utilized for decades together now. And this unique solution is being made more unique with the help of high-end sensors, with the help of 2D and 3D vision, and with the help of AMRs, AGVs, which I believe our co-panelist Nitin will be speaking about. So automation is here to stay, increase the productivity, improve the quality, hygiene, and at the same time improve the traceability is what I would summarize as an answer.
Thanks, Mr. Prasad, for providing highlights. Mr. Nitin, can you hear us? Mr. Nitin?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? I think that is more important.
Yeah, okay. It's of mutual importance. So, Mr. Nitin, I was just getting the views of Mr. Guru Prasad on how does increasing robotic uses in manufacturing enhance productivity for logistics and manufacturing operations. So what are your views about it?
So I think that is a question which everyone asks, right? So what I would say that like most things, there is no simple answer. And it really depends on the type of use case that you're dealing with. Now, if the idea is that it's a drug which can be made at, let's say, ambient temperature, there isn't much complexity involved. I would say conveyor systems would be the cheaper and a better way to do it, because it might provide a faster throughput and it might be more economical. But yes, there are cases in which there are temperature sensitive APIs which need to be developed. There needs to be minimal human interaction which needs to be with the product. And the shop floor might be that you don't want to basically restrict the access of anything on the shop floor with conveyors. Then I think AGVs, AMRs are the way to go. Because you're able to free up the floor. These products can actually move from one place to another without hindering anything. And then a lot of, I think, more state-of-the-art manufacturing locations, and which is not just pharma, by the way. AMRs are currently being used.
Thank you, Mr. Nitin, for sharing your views. So next, coming to Mr. Nitin again, how do you see innovations in automation and data analytics role in the growth of pharmaceutical manufacturing?
Yeah, so I think, see, the hardware part of it will take us only a certain way, right? What we truly believe is actually the main KPI, or the real brain actually is the software. And the major part of the software in today's day and age is data analytics. So in terms of, and with respect to pharma industry in general, I think there is a lot of, I think in terms of the pharma industry, there is a lot of regulations which relate to management of data electronically, understanding what are the different readings at different part of the value chain at the time of manufacturing of any medicine. How do you do serialization? How do you divert? How do you make decisions on the factory line are very important, which are primarily done through data analytics only. So the software which actually drives the entire thing is much more important, I think, after a certain point of time than the hardware.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. Mr. Guru Prasad, what would you like to add to it regarding the innovations in automation data analytics role?
Yeah, as the saying goes, data is a new oil. I believe this has been saying from the times. The likes of Google and the Facebooks and the LinkedIns of the world use their data to sell more. That is the first thing. And also they helped us in different ways to, I would say, I would not say lead a better quality of life, but I think perceivably lead a better quality of life. But the importance of data and data analytics in, especially in the manufacturing world, can be even better emphasized, because the data which is being generated, whether it is a level 1 of automation, which is the sensors, level 2 of automation, which is PLCs, or level 3s of automation, which is SCADAs, and then to the cloud, and then from the cloud to complex algorithms in which this data can be made more sense of. The importance of data and the data generating mechanisms cannot be emphasized more. Specifically, when we speak about the automation part, the data which we capture, for example, the data which we take from a 2D or a 3D vision system is being utilized for machine learning. Using this data, for example, the robot is sorting out products from a bin. Then this data is being utilized for recognizing new products which are coming in and identified new ways of gripping this particular product and how to sort it out, what to do with this product, taking decisions. And then, of course, machine learning will lead to artificial intelligence going ahead. So the importance of data and data analytics accentuated with the help of automation cannot be overemphasized. It is already a very critical part of any manufacturing operation.
Yeah, that's quite a good insight into that. So, what are you are talking about artificial intelligence. What are your views about AI and Internet of Things shaping the future of pharmaceutical production?
Yeah, if you look at AI, I think one of our speakers, I think it was Ravi Kiran, who mentioned about digital twins. So AI, the conversation on AI naturally leads to digital twins because there is a specific limitation to usage of AI in pharma, especially when I speak about the automation part of pharma. But with the help of digital twins and AI combined, the limitation is quite limited. I would say the limitation is gone almost, I would say. So when we speak about AI combined with digital, what I mean to say is that it's as good as you have your entire factory on your computer. So whatever happens in your factory, whether it is a mixing error or whether it is a tracking error, you are able to see it live onto the digital twin on your computer. And whatever changes you do on a computer, with the help of Internet of Things or high-speed connection thanks to 5G and other possibilities, you are able to implement that change in real time in your factory equipment. So the enhancement of connection speeds, whether it is because of 5G or whether it is because of optical fiber cables and connected equipment with the help of digital twins, is something which is already revolutionizing the way in which we run the plants, the way in which we maintain the equipment, the way in which we are able to predict the maintenance requirements, and the way in which we are able to bring it back into action in case of any failure. In case of ABB specific to robotics, we have been running something called as a digital operations center for the last 3 years. And especially during COVID times, it helped us a lot, wherein we are able to track the service level of our products in real time. What time a complaint came and what time an engineer was assigned, and by what time the problem was attended, and even during attending the problem, what kind of a problem it was, whether it was software or electrical or mechanical, depending on the category of the problem, how much time it was taken to rectify it, and how we can continuously improve it. So all these are thanks to data. So I conclude once again by saying that data is definitely the new oil.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Prasad. And it's a very vital statement, data is the new oil. So what are your comments, Mr. Nitin, about the AI and IoT playing a role for pharmaceutical?
So I'll be very honest. I think in terms of adoption, IoT is much higher at there in terms of pharma manufacturing, and IoT can be as simple as let's say if I'm creating an API, creating a formulation. Can I get feed from sensors that whether the temperature inside the vessel is the correct temperature which I want, and is it not just temperature at one point but temperature at different places inside the vessel, is it correct as per my spec? Is the, let's say, the RH of the facility is as per spec? When I'm filling the bottles, when I'm packaging the product, are the difference in the weight or the weight error which I'm getting, is it correct or not? And once I get a feed of all of these different sensors, how can I actually make correct decisions? So, for example, if I identify that one particular bottle on the entire line is underweight, then can I track that bottle and can I eliminate that bottle out of the packaging area so that it doesn't go out to the customer? Or let's say if a bad batch is created, it doesn't go out to the customer and creates a lot of trouble for both the customer and for the company. So I think IoT in that term is much more widespread, is much more commonly used. AI, I think it is used quite a lot as a buzzword. I'm not really sure whether it has been implemented to a certain extent in a factory setup as it should be. I think currently the way the things are, it has a greater application at the API development stage because you see AI at the end of the day is a artificial intelligence which is able to perform actions which it is not specifically coded to do, right? So then, I think majority of at least the monitoring systems are still very complicated, but rule-based systems that, if a certain spec goes above, then you do this. If a certain spec goes below this, you do that. But AI, I think, is still much more prevalent at the development stage and not so much at the manufacturing stage. So I think once it comes, I think it might open the gate to much more what do you call greater level of decision making in the manufacturing space. But I have at least personally not seen it that much, at least in my experience. Maybe my friends from ABB and the Salt can also add to this.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Nitin. Now, Mr. Guru Prasad, coming to you, how far manufacturing is bringing efficiency improvements for production processes from pharma equipment perspective?
Yeah, I would like to give a fairly, I would say, a straightforward answer. I think the way in which the efficiency is being measured, or some people call it as efficiency, or some people call it as technical availability, is basically if we have 22.5 hours to run equipment, and out of this 22.5 hours, it produces, let us say, 20 million pieces of whatever product it's supposed to produce. Instead of 20 million, it produces, let us say, for the sake of estimation, it produces 18 million. So it is 90% efficient, is what people call it as. So when we speak about the newer technologies, especially when we speak about automation, the core reason for introducing automation, I would not say it's specific to robotics, whether it is conveyor-based automation, whether it is introducing AMRs and AGVs. The entire intention is to go from 90% to 95, 96, 97, 98, whatever is that possible. That is the intention behind. So from that perspective, whichever pharma client which we visit in the need of automation, their core objective is efficiency improvement. And that is how they get their return of investment also, by improving the efficiency and productivity. Is what my brief answer would be.
Yeah, that's quite a nice brief. Would you like to add, Mr. Nitin? Hello, Mr. Nitin.
Yeah, so I think Mr. Guru Prasad mentioned it quite fairly. The idea is that how are you, in fact, there is another way of looking at it is, let us say that there is a particular building, it's a box, right, in which a particular manufacturing is happening. Then how can I maximize the number of output which goes out of that particular box in a day, in an hour, and so on and so forth. And that is really the efficiency for us. So within that same amount of time, with let's say the same number of manpower, how can I increase the throughput of a particular manufacturing location is what efficiency is for us. And what we try to do is we try to do it in two ways. One is that we try to eliminate any constraints which are there in the system. So let's say if it is a completely manual process, let's say the formula has to be passed from one A to B to C, right? Then how can we increase the speed of this entire process? So let's say reduce the time between processes. If there are any bottlenecks, that how do we eliminate these bottlenecks in the system? and that is typically how we deal with this.
Thank you, Mr. Nitin. Mr. Ravi Karan is back. We are coming to close also. Mr. Ravi Kiran, I would ask you one thing. What suggestion will you make in planning a strategy for transporting pharma equipment and drugs to address supply chain challenges?
Okay, this is logistics problem. I mean, whatever I have covered is more in-plant production planning and detailed scheduling. Logistics and distribution planning is altogether a different animal altogether. And probably it would take a different another session to cover that. But again, I think I agree and I concur with the views that Nitin's presentation he presented. The logistics planning where it is very similar to the FMCG industry in terms of milk runs. How do you optimize your best routes to deliver to your retailers and warehouses and all of that. So it is a complex optimization puzzle. It is not just about planning. It is about optimizing by taking into consideration. You have to first step in this is to have your entire distribution planning network diagram. So where are your warehouses? Where are your retailers? And what is your daily traffic and daily deliverable volumes, right? And then you put that into an optimizer and identify what are the best ways of distributing the goods. Also, the logistics poses another important aspect to the organizations from the sustainability standpoint. It is not just a profitability imperative, but also if you run these trucks and these delivery vehicles and all of that, it is a huge, not just the cost for the organization, but also they may lose some points in terms of their sustainability indicators because that's a fuel burned. So that's also another dimension that they have to look at. So it is altogether a different puzzle. The first step is to do a network design diagram, put all your pieces in place and say what is the best optimum routes, what are the best optimum quantities to carry, and what are the best optimum volumes to produce for that particular things. So it's a different problem altogether from what I have presented today.
Yeah, that's a good insight you have given us. Darshana, I would like to introduce Mr. Guru Prasad. I would like to introduce Mr. Nitin for his presentation and moderate the session further.
Okay. Mr. Nitin, if you would like to continue with your presentation.
Yeah, I've connected from my phone right now. I don't think I will be able to display anything, but I can at least talk about what is there, what are the different things which we look at, right? I think the last time which we left was we discussed, yeah, the last time when we left, we discussed that there are, the type of challenges which the pharma industry faces are quite similar to other industries. But what is unique about the pharma industry in general is the type of processes, regulations which are required, which is what makes it extremely unique and very ripe for different types of automation, right? So there were two types of I think major challenges which I wanted to address at least in this presentation was that through automation and through technology in general, how do we at least solve the biggest problems of the pharma industry, and the first one of that being hygiene and traceability, right? Because the idea is that these are products which one consumes with the idea that they will make them better, and these are complicated chemical formulations or in some cases biological products which are developed. So how do I make them in a manner that they are correctly made as per spec, and how do I in the process of manufacturing them ensure the utmost amount of hygiene? And then when I'm manufacturing them, how do I ensure that there is a certain amount of traceability throughout the process? So that the idea is that if I have the process correct, I will be able to have the output right. Right. So that is the idea. At least in the first part, I think a lot of it is done through different IoT Internet of Things, and I think, if I'm not wrong, Mr. Prasad also mentioned this. There are different types of sensors, PLCs, and SCADA systems which help us to do this. So they can help us in monitoring the temperature. They can help us monitoring in humidity and all of the different environment conditions which are there, which are required. The another big part of at least the traceability part in pharma manufacturing comes from serialization. So there are, let's say, a company which manufactures 100 different APIs. They might actually have thousands of different raw materials to take care of, right? So how do I ensure that I'm always at every time putting the correct product in the correct amount, in the correct type of environment? So that is a big challenge. So serialization of each and every item is, I think, a no-brainer which goes. And having a proper checklist and a process list is very important. So in a lot of companies, what happens is that, let's say, when a person is feeding the raw material into a particular batch, everything is recorded. From, let's say, there might be a certain amount of login which might be required. I think most of the companies have moved away from any paper-based system. So they try to have everything through a barcode, through an RFID tag, and so on and so forth. And they're able to have systems which, in case of any over excess or under feeding of any of the products, are able to stop uh, the process to ensure that there is no contamination of the product, right? And then there are a lot of different regulations, and that this is something which we've also discussed with our clients. That they say that this is the industry which requires, let's say, CFR compliant regulations, GMP regulations. So it is very important for any company who's approaching clients like this to have these kind of basic processes so that they're able to cater to this particular industry. And the second part which I wanted to touch upon was related to the overall place that pharma has in the Indian context, is that we are one of the biggest manufacturers of pharmaceuticals in the world, not just looking after the demand of domestically, but globally as well, right? So how do we deal with a high amount of throughput in this field and be able to repeatedly create processes and products to ensure that every bottle of or every pill which we create conforms to the certain standard? So uh, how do we make sure that the processes which we implement are first time right? How do we ensure that there are certain type of inspections which are put in, now, be it manual or be it, let's say, advanced type of inspections through vision based systems? How do we do preventive maintenance of the equipment which we are running becomes very important. So these were some of the few things which I wanted to discuss actually.
Thank you, Mr. Nitin, for sharing your
Thank
view.
you.
We have come to the end of the session. I would like to thank all our panelists for exchanging your valuable thoughts on today's next-gen manufacturing in pharma. We hope you have enjoyed the session thoroughly. Before wrapping up today's session, I would like to thank Mr. Ravi Kiran, Mr. Nitin, and Mr. Guru Prasad. I would also like to thank Mr. Gopal Anand for taking this initiative. We request our delegates and viewers to stay connected with us on our social media handles. OEM Update is available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can download our app from Google Play and App Store. With this, we want to announce the closing of today's session. Please stay tuned.